All right. So let me do this and get us really situated here. I am so excited because
I see all your slides.
eh,
Do you see your slides over in the corner, Lynn? I
yes,
see your slide deck. Do you
there
want
we go.
that to show? There you go.
There we go. All
I'm gonna,
right.
I'm gonna close my door. Can I close my door? No?
Can you close your door?
Yeah. Can I get up? We're
Okay.
live. I'm gonna sit right here.
We are live. That is for true. And I'm so excited because I'm able to interview one of my favorite people in the world doing such important work. And this is our inaugural show, Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV. And I want to say welcome to our audience. If you're out there watching, pull up a chair or kick back, take a lunch break, and participate in the conversation. This is going to be powerful because the two of us get together and we have so much to talk about. So we're going to be very intentional about what we're conversing about today. And the subject matter is something that is dear to my heart. And Dr. Bradley brought it to us so that we could open up something that's important, yet something that we can make lighthearted and interesting and colorful, and something that our goal, our desire is to change your heart because you've changed your information about food. Okay, so yes, health, food, wisdom. There's wisdom in knowing that the food that you eat is either going to help your body to do what it needs to do to operate optimally, which is actually your greatest wealth. Your health is your greatest wealth. So, once again, welcome to Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV. These are powerful conversations for living your best life. I am VLYNN HAWKINS, your host, and my guest today is Dr. Brenda T. Bradley. Now,
No.
I could tell you a lot about Dr. Bradley, but I'm going to let you see it right here. She's a certified integrative nutrition health coach. She's an author, a TEDx speaker, and she's creator of the 12-Day Vegan Challenge. And I have to say that when vegan first showed up in my life, I was like, vegan? I don't know. Vegetarian? Maybe I'm more there. But, for me, the whole food, plant-based diet and lifestyle is something that I was introduced to by Peter Goldstein, who is the CEO of Hippocrates Docs, a health advocacy group that actually is a huge part of the um, whole food, plant-based diet and lifestyle movement. And once I started learning all this information, I was like, I am on board.
Yes.
And not just on board, I am fully an advocate because I have seen how health issues can get turned around. I have seen how weight gets dropped and left wherever it got dropped, not to return, which for many of us is truly a phenomenon. It's like, how do you do that? And today I'm, again, excited beyond words to be in the conversation with Dr. Bradley. So as we get started, I want to say thank you and welcome, Dr. Bradley.
Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 and thank you. And first and foremost, I must say this because I am feeling it. I am feeling it. I am feeling it. And that is Happy New Year. Happy
Yes.
New Year.
Can you
2020 is back there somewhere, right? It is back there.
we
We
are
are here. present moment. Yes. So it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure
Thank
to be here with you, VLYNN, and to say hello to everybody that's out there. Hello.
and Happy New Year. Yes. It's hard to believe we're 5 days into the new year already. Time
Yes.
flies when you're having fun, right? And so I'm
Yes.
expecting 2021 to just fly by because this is going to be fun. And
Yes.
I'm excited to be in this with you today because what are we talking about today? How food heals or when food heals. And
Yes.
that is a really important topic because most people actually think that your doctors with medication and the pills and needles and the, you know, everything under the sun that doctors, and to no fault of their own, um, maybe sometimes, but we have come to believe that they are the ones that are responsible for our healing. And that's because we've gotten away from the ancient wisdom of not just our bodies, but of Mother Earth. God put us here, and the earth that provides everything that we need. And so I want to start out by asking you, how did you get on this journey? What started for you? Were you this in another life? Did you, I mean, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to this point in time.
Wait, okay, let me do that. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Brenda Bradley, and I'm sitting there listening to Lynn, and she was talking about we've gotten away from many things. And before I tell you more about myself, that is so true. We've gotten away from the garden, the food, even growing our foods. I recall when in the early 80s, I had left home. I was in the military and I was over in England at the time. And I remember even eating a tomato and it didn't taste right. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, something is wrong with the food over here. It doesn't even taste like the food. And my mom said it probably was processed or it wasn't grown with good soil or something like that. And that should have been my first red flag, but it wasn't. So I am someone that my life has had many twists and turns. My life, my career, from being in the military to a senior manager in corporate America to a certified integrative nutrition health coach. I could not have told you that my path would end, I would go this route. But several years ago, while chasing that corporate ladder, I knew I was going to be the VP. I had planned my whole journey, but it didn't work out that way. Sometimes we can plan, and something might happen. And I think for me, life really happened. So there I was, chasing this corporate ladder, doing all these things, working these long hours, just really, really striving toward a goal that I had in mind. And then one day it just all came crumbling down. And how it came crumbling down is I was diagnosed, first of all, I had gone from 160 all the way to 236 pounds. Do you know what that looked like? For someone like me with a small frame. Then I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, um, and really what really got me, and also I dealt with bouts of depression. Now, I would have never told you that I dealt with depression because that was something that we don't talk about. We don't say that word, but I'm here to say, forget all that. I'm going to talk about it. So yes, I dealt with that. And then the doctor told me that the word she used was borderline diabetic or pre-diabetic, which I didn't know was really a word, but I went with it because what she was telling me was that any moment I come back in there and get tested, I will probably have diabetes. And she even told me that if I did, I would not be able to reverse it or get rid of it. And so I was just distraught. I was just in a place of misery. I really was. And I started to started reading about, what happened to me, what is going on. I never thought to look in my kitchen. I never thought that the foods that I was eating would have an effect on what was going on, because I thought that I was a healthy eater. I was working out in the gym. I was doing all these things. I was still eating some of the same foods, of course, that I was eating when I was in the military, and I didn't gain weight. So what was really going on? That's a whole nother subject. But when I learned um, the food, when I learned about the food and what the body needed to perform optimally, I made a switch, and I made that switch to a plant-based lifestyle. Now, VLYNN, I wanted to run out of my house. I wanted to climb a mountain. I even wanted to jump out of a plane just to advertise, just to tell people, hey, I found it. I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I don't have high cholesterol. I don't have any of this. And I can put back on my size 8 and 10 size jeans, all depending on who the maker of those clothes were. I can wear those clothes again. And that's how it all started. And so I sit there and I said, how am I going to do this? So I decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to need a little bit more education. So I went back to school to learn about um, being a health coach in order to help people. So this is what I do today, and I totally enjoy what I do.
Well, I can tell that you totally enjoy it. And what a story, from the military to where you are today and the impact that you're making on so many thousands of people. It's just really inspiring. Um, so when you think about this journey, what was that wake up call for you? Was it the looking in the mirror and seeing, oh my gosh, who is this? Or the health issues and thinking, I'm done. What was that wake up call for you?
Well, it certainly was a wake up call, but I like to think of it as it was a knockout wake up call. It really, truly knocked me out. Like I mentioned, I was in a state of misery. My family didn't know. I certainly didn't want my baby brother to find out. Oh, no. So my family didn't know. My mother, my dad at the time, no one knew. I was embarrassed that I'd gained so much weight. And I was embarrassed that I couldn't figure it out. And so I hid. I didn't go to functions. I didn't want anybody to know that I was trying to figure it out. I needed to be made whole again. And that was it was very trying. So when the doctor told me, first of all, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, I'm gonna be honest. I was like, high cholesterol, they don't go hand in hand, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I have to take different medication for both of them. And then for her to say, hey, you are borderline diabetic. And so more medication. I was even giving myself these shots. It was called, at the time, it was called Victoza. Victoza is on the market today, and it's for people that deals with diabetes. But it was doing a clinical trial at the time that she told me. And so she gave me the medication, and it was in that form of an EpiPen. And I was giving myself shots in my stomach area and stuff like that to try. She was trying to help me to lose the weight. Did I lose weight? Yes, I did lose the weight, but whenever I stopped, the weight just came back, and more of it came back. And so, and I really want your audience to hear what I have to say. I'm very, very transparent, and I'm no longer embarrassed or anything. If anything that I say can save a life or help someone, then that is what I'm going to do. Right about now, this is not about me. I'm okay. This is not about me. And so I'm saying that to say this. When you ask me what was my wake-up call, my wake-up call was, there I was, VLYNN, sitting in my house away from my children. I have 2 adorable, terrible children. Can I say that? I love y'all. I love y'all. And there I was at my wit's end, thinking, for the first time in my life, thinking, I'm going to check out. I'm not going to live like this. Nobody understands my pain. Nobody knows what I'm dealing with. I'm not going to sit around. I'm in all this pain, emotionally, physically, mentally. Yes, mentally, whenever you are dealing with depression, that is mental health issue. So there I was, I couldn't find a way out. I did not know a way out. So guess what? I can't live like this. So I'm going to just bow out the best way that I know how. And I hope that my family and friends will forgive me. That's where I was. And so the thing about it, there I was, and I was in a terrible place that I couldn't even believe that I was even thinking that. But I did know enough, that voice, we all have that voice that talks to us if we allow it to. That voice that said, you got to try, you got to try. And on this particular next day, I decided to go and sit in somebody's church. Let me just go and sit there. That's the least I can do. And it was at that point when the minister said a couple of things. And you know how sometimes you go to church, if for those of us that go to church, and you finally go to church for months or whatever, and you sit there, how does the preacher know you're there? Because it seems like the sermon is only for you, doesn't it? How does that happen? And
Uh-huh.
so when that happened, and I realized that I am somebody, I'm still somebody, I'm his child. And so I had to fight. I had to fight. I had to dig deep. And here we are today to say that, hey, um, you have to believe. You just have to believe. Those storms are going to come. Oh my goodness, they're going to blow your house away. They're going to blow you away. But if you just stand firm and allow it to pass. And as a friend of mine say, when you get to the other side of through, it looks really good. It can be really good. I can
Does.
talk, y'all.
It does. You're right. And, those who are in our audience potentially dealing with some health issues, you have to know that there is a solution. And, I've been on medication for so long. I mean, one of my friends tells a story about how he had been on medication for 30 years. And his body actually began reacting differently. And he looked up one day and they were talking about cutting off his leg. And he
Mm,
was like, oh no, uh, something's got to change. And the doctor
mm,
was like, we have tried every medication that there is. You've done it. You're on it. There's nothing else that can be done. And to this day, he got off of his medications, except for one I think he still takes because of the long history of medication. But he has turned to just a total plant-based diet, growing a huge garden that feeds the neighborhood, and has combated all of his issues now, including depression. And that's something that is really prevalent throughout our nation, and our cultural communities. And depending on how our cultures have taught us about dealing with um, mental issues or mental illness, we don't even look at food being one of those remedies, but food really is a solution. And I say food, but I also want to say the right foods.
yes.
And so, with that, tell us, why do you believe that the using food as medicine is important? And it's an important mission that has really moved into a movement.
Yes.
But why is that from your perspective?
Well, food really is medicine. And um, prior to the lifestyle that I have now, if someone had told me to allow food to be my medicine, I probably would have went through one ear and out the other, because it wouldn't have probably made any sense to me. But food is actually medicine. And what that means is food can actually work for you, for your body, or it can work against your body. So here for an example, there I was, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, dealing with depression, obesity, and all of that. Why is it that when I adopted a plant-based lifestyle, that means I'm eating vegetables, fruits, grains, nuts, and even legumes. I'm eating that. I removed all the animal products and even the animals from my kitchen, from my table. I removed them. Why is it that within 3 months of me going plant-based, why did my body heal itself? So that food became medicine. So I was giving my body what it needed, not what I wanted it to have, some chicken legs, some pig feet. Don't y'all dare. I did eat that stuff. You know, why was it when I stopped? Why did the high blood pressure go away? Why did the high cholesterol? Why did all that stuff go away? And then all this energy came. So guess what? Food was medicine. So when I said I wanted to run out there and tell everybody, hey, this is how I lost 33 pounds in 40 days. In 40 days, but I was eating all the time. But it was what I was eating. I was nourishing my body. I was giving my body exactly what it needed. Now, and here's the thing. When I first started, I made a lot of mistakes. And here's the thing, I only decided to give up meat for 40 days during Lent. That was not a goal of mine to say, this is gonna be my new lifestyle. I just wanted to do it for 40 days. I had tried everything that was out there, and some things worked, some things didn't. But at the end of the day, I knew I wasn't gonna stay on those programs. And so this was just something I said, well, let me just give this a try, just for 40 days. After the 40 days, I went to the first restaurant, and I call it an upscale restaurant in Washington, D.C. I went to this restaurant, and when that lady even put the bowl of salad in my face, on, how they give you your little side salad first or whatever, I just wanted to slide that salad all the way off that table onto the floor, because I did not want to see or eat another piece of lettuce. I wanted some meat. That I'd never made the connection. Now here I am, VLYNN. I lost 33 pounds. My energy is off the chart. My skin has started improving. I have very sensitive skin. Weight is just coming off. I still didn't make that connection. I went straight to the restaurant and I ordered meat. Now here's what I want to say. When I took that first bite, and it was fish, in case you all are wondering, it wasn't a steak or lamb or anything like that. I wanted some fish because I felt that fish was going to be gentle on me, since I hadn't eaten meat in 40 days. So I took a bite of fish. Within less than 1 minute, I broke out in a sweat. I became sick to my stomach. I had to almost get carried out of the restaurant, and I came home. Why? Why did I get so sick in less than 1 minute? Because that fish was working against me. I needed those vegetables and fruit, and this is my story. So yes, I tell everyone, allow food to be your medicine and not your poison. And that is why this is the platform that I am on. If we just go back to that garden, let's go back to the garden, Genesis 1 and 19 or 29, go back to the garden. The vegetables and the fruit, these are foods. Even the DNA of an apple, it all goes with our human body. We're really connected. We're really connected. So yes, allow food to be your medicine. You have to, if you want to feel better, I should say.
It is key. One of my early awakenings actually happened as I was in the hospital passing kidney stones.
Mm.
And cute little nurse comes in, little Black woman, says, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? She was the nurse that checked all the vitals and, never has anything to say to you, because she would feel like she's stepping out of place.
Yes.
And I was like, of course, I'm in so much pain. She was like, what did you eat yesterday? And I told her I had 3 bowls of cereal, I had some muffins, and thinking, I'm not eating a lot. And she was like, can I just let you know that dairy products contribute to kidney stones? I was like, really? And then I'm thinking, it kind of makes sense. And that was it for me as far as milk and a lot of breads and stuff. And as time went on, oh, that's what I wanted to say, is that you reminded me actually that, you have things like that happen, but it doesn't really click
It doesn't click.
and you don't put two and two together. But I want to tell our audience that you have had some of these experiences, whether you feel healthy and you still have had that thought, not quite feeling right after that meal, or you are having some health challenges and you've eaten something, and while it tastes really good, something in the back of your mind is saying, you can stop now. You can stop now. And I know that there are things that are done to our food to make them taste a certain way, not just make them appealing. We cook our own food to make it taste a certain way. And there are studies that have shown that food manufacturers actually do these things purposefully
Yeah.
so that they can have us to buy more and more of these foods, knowing and actually knowing the result of long-term use and the fact that long-term use of a lot of stuff causes injury. And I'm talking internal injury. So, Dr. B, what do you tell the person who says, but I don't want to give up my meat. I don't want to stop eating cereal and drinking cow's milk. And I mean, yeah. How do you address that?
Okay, so you're absolutely right. Here's the thing, when it comes to food, um, we are addicted. So don't laugh at that person that don't crack anymore. Don't laugh at that person that's doing, drugs or alcohol. Those people that are addicted. We, the society, our American society, probably the whole wide world, we have an addiction going on, and that addiction is with food. Think about this. Whenever there is food is everywhere in every event, whether there's a wedding, a death, a birth, a birthday, you name it, any event, what's going on? There's food, right? We always, no matter what, there's some food somewhere around. And so we are accustomed to eating food, food, food. Now, when there were reports about eating things like beef, and beef is not good for you. I don't know, remember the mad cow disease, and they was talking about beef and things like that. I was one of those persons that said, oh, I can do without eating the beef, just don't touch my chicken. So, because I could just eat chicken for life. That was my thing, eating chicken for life, right? And I was like, if they ever do anything with that chicken, I don't know, I'm gonna have to make a decision. Well, think about it like this. So you got the food industry. The food industry is a business. It is a business. It doesn't care about nothing else. It is a business. So guess what? This business needs to make money. So what can we possibly do? Well, I'm talking about the food industry. Well, let's go out there and let's hire some of the best engineers, food engineers, or whatever. Let's hire the best, and let's tell them that we need them to start adding some of these additives and these fillers in this food that'll keep these people from coming back. A good example, if for those of you that might be, questioning what I'm saying, a good example is the cigarette industry. Do you all remember when the cigarette industry was challenged and they had to finally say, okay, we are putting something in the cigarettes that make it hard for you to give it up, make it hard for you to give it up. Same thing is happening with the food. The same thing is happening with the food. Another thing that is happening with our food supply, and I call it, we are dealing with a food supply that I call legal foods of mass destruction. Foods are killing us. Not only is it killing us, it's killing the animals too. So for example, let's take a look at that cow, right? Since VLYNN, you talked about the milk. Let's take a look at the cow. Oh my goodness. So here's this cow that is, in order for you all that are drinking milk, let me back up. And you don't even have to answer this question. I just want to put something there. Why are we the only species drinking the milk from an animal that wasn't designed for us, and then wonder why we are gaining weight or wondering what's going on, why we have all this mucus in our bodies. Could it be we shouldn't be touching that? You know, we shouldn't be drinking that milk. That milk was actually designed for that baby calf. And guess what? That mother only feeds that calf for 6 months. And then that calf, she doesn't feed it again. And here we are, adults still drinking it. and then we wonder, you know, what's going on. But here's the other part to that. I want you all to always do your research. Go out there and look at how is this milk being produced? Dude, and so let me just tell you a little bit about how the milk is being produced. They have to keep impregnating this cow so that she would continuously produce this milk because they need to supply so much. She doesn't live long after that. Anyway, not only that, but then they're pumping her with a lot of steroids or antibodies. So these animals, not just the cow, but other animals, they are dying from diseases that we are dying from, okay? And so guess what? When we are going to the stores and we're buying this food that has been tainted, I called it, with drugs and steroids and all these antibodies, and guess what? We're putting that food inside of our precious temples, and then we're wondering, why am I sick? So here, this is what I want to say. When it comes to energy, you can never get rid of energy. Energy is transferred, okay? So I want you to think about this. So here's this animal that has died, and I can only imagine how. So I'm gonna use the word cruelty. This animal probably died in a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, and everything. And now, guess what? You're transferring energy. And then we wonder, wait a minute, why am I sick? Why am I feeling some kind of way? Could it be what you put on your plate? Sometimes when it comes to violence, VLYNN, one of the first places we probably should look at is our plate. Remove that violence off of the plate. Now, I know I went way around the world with that, but when people say to me, hey, you know what, I cannot give up. I don't think I can give up the chicken. I don't think that I can do that. Now, as you all know, that I have a 21-day vegan challenge program, and I tell people, give me 21 days. After the 21 days, you can go and do whatever it is that you want to do. But for the 21 days, let me show you that there are some substitutes. So for those of you all that want to continue to drink the milk or whatever, let's try a different substitute, one that is healthier for you. So I asked them to allow me that opportunity just for 21 days, because what I'm trying to do is to educate, and I'm trying to show them that there are other ways that you can become healthy. And again, and this is a way that we can use food as medicine, because there's a lot, you know, it's just me, VLYNN, with some other people that are out there trying to let people know that we're okay. We still are getting our protein just because we're not going through that animal to get the protein, because the animal doesn't produce the protein anymore. So don't ask me again, where am I getting my protein? I'm not getting it from the animal, because the animal doesn't produce protein. I'm getting it from the same place that the animal gets its to get theirs in order to produce the protein. I know I just answered a whole lot of questions.
And I love it because you did. And, you know, I was going to ask you, what's one of the biggest myths that you find people living under? And I think the biggest one that I've seen, and you can tell me what you think, but it's about protein.
It is.
Well, I need a hamburger. I got to get my protein. I need, this a steak to, and medium well or medium rare or what, to get my protein. And then I learned that the cows and the chickens and all those animals eat the plants to get their protein. So we're going to the middleman versus going to the source. So what's one of the biggest, and I want to bust that myth, protein, get it from the source, plants.
That is one of the very first questions when people find out. And it still amazes me, because why didn't anybody ask me that question before? Why is it that they always ask it when they found out that, oh, she done made a change in her life? So there I was 236 pounds. Nobody was asking me where was I getting my protein then, or even asked me if I was getting protein or whatever the case may be. Nobody asked that. But then when they saw the weight, like, wait a minute, her weight is coming off. She's looking different. She's even smiling more. Let me approach her. And so when they would approach me, they would say, hey, can you share with us? But one lady told me in particular, we was going to the same gym. And you know how sometimes, VLYNN, you see people looking at you, you can kind of tell from your peripheral vision. But I used to always know that this lady was watching me, and I didn't mind. It wasn't one of those bad stares or anything like that. But this lady finally approached me in the ladies' locker room. And she said, listen, you and I have been going to this gym for a number of years, and I've seen some drastic changes in you. Did you get your stomach stapled, or did you do that whatever that surgery is?
And surgery.
Yeah, gastric bypass,
Yes.
whatever. Yeah. And I said, oh no, I didn't do that. She said, listen, just tell me whatever you did, because I am on it. If you don't want me to tell anybody, I won't tell anybody. And she was just going on. And then I told her, I said, well, I stopped eating meat and animal byproduct, egg, milk, and cheese. And she said, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. And then she said, well, wait a minute, let me ask you a question. Well, tell me, where are you getting your protein? And when she said that, I just stared at her like, wow. And then it's like, after that, everybody started asking me, where are you getting your protein? Where are you getting your protein? And to the point that I started asking them, can I ask you a question? They were like, yeah. I'm like, can you explain protein to me? What exactly is protein? And how do you know to even ask me that? And then you'll find out that people don't even really know what a protein is. They just heard it through the grapevine. And so then I would challenge them and say, okay, do you know what a cow is? Yeah. Do you know what a gorilla, a deer, an elephant? Do you know these are animals, right? Like, yeah, they're strong, they're big. Can you tell me where they're getting their protein? Because they're not eating meat. They don't eat meat. They're like, so where are they getting their protein? And then I get that deer caught in the headlight look like, oh, yeah, where are they getting their protein? They're getting their protein from the source. They're getting their protein from plants. And so that's where the protein, and here's the thing, people kind of know because they probably heard that we really can't live without protein. It's an amino acid. It helps with the building block. It helps with our system. We really can't. We can only go so many days, a couple of months or so without protein. So they know enough to know that we really do need protein. But here's another thing. We need magnesium. We need calcium. We need iron. We need zinc. We need all these things, that the key nutrients that the body really needs. And guess where they come from? They come from plants. So for those of us that are eating these plants, plant-based food, we are eating, I call it our medicine cabinet, because food is really medicine. We're getting our vitamins, we're getting our minerals, we're getting a lot, we're getting so much from the plants. So that is the number one, is where you're getting that protein. I'm getting the same place that those animals do not. So look it up for those of you all that want to inquire. Animals do not make protein. People go through that animal. When you're in the store buying the steak and the chicken and all of that, you're going through to get the protein from the animal, but the animal's not making it.
That
so
is
that is
awesome.
one of the big, and there are other, I call them misconceptions, misconceptions that people, and another one, if I may, that people, when they find out, they say, oh, that's too expensive. Forget that lifestyle. That lifestyle is too expensive. And my heart kind of just flutters a little bit with sadness, because it just a twinkle, because when I hear them say that is too expensive, and then when I go on Facebook or social media and I see a GoFundMe for cancer, could you help with cancer? Could you help? We're trying to raise money for this cause. We're trying to make way. And then I say, which is more expensive? Is it really that expensive? I mean, when it comes to a plant-based lifestyle, have you really has anybody priced the cost of cancer? Have you priced the cost of diabetes or any of these preventative diseases? And when I say even price it, the cost of it, I'm talking about even time, taking off work to go to the doctor, paying copay and all that. that is what is expensive. And I think one of the things, the reason why people think that is so expensive is because, in all honesty, it was. Going plant-based, when I went plant-based over 10 years, almost 10 years now, I have to admit, honestly, it was expensive. And what made it expensive for me was that there was a monopoly. There was a store in particular, and not to blast a store, that's not what this is about, but there was a store in particular that was a monopoly, meaning that that store was the store that had some of the products that I needed and no other stores. So I would actually go grab a couple of items, go up to the counter, and then the lady would say, that'll be $3,000 for these couple of items. And then VLYNN, I was standing there like, oh my God, this is expensive. I'm gonna have to take out a second mortgage or something. But what happened is people start waking up, and they're still waking up to this very day. And people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And they're questioning their doctors even more. And some of these doctors are jumping on board with this whole movement. And so I said that to say this: when people start shifting and their money start going elsewhere, these companies start paying attention, because they look at their bottom line, and their bottom line is, wait a minute, it's not the same anymore. They're losing money. So guess what? They send them analysts out there to say, figure it out. How do we get this money back? And then they come back and say, they're buying plant-based foods. So then these stores, they start putting out, oh, what are they buying? Then these stores start putting these foods in there. That supply and demand is something else.
It
When they start
truly
doing this,
is.
so now that one store doesn't have that competitive advantage. Now you have stores that are embracing the change. And I'm gonna say this: when Walmart came on board, hallelujah. Now you know that you can go and get these foods at Walmart. So now it's not a monopoly. So now it makes it much more affordable for many of us to go and buy these foods that our body needs to flourish.
Absolutely. And I have to admit that I am oh, how can I say it? A new convert, and not so new, but a new convert to the farmer's market. And one
Yes.
of the things for me was it had to be a special occasion and extra effort for me to go to the neighborhood farmers market or the big open air farmers market. And, I had to go out of my way to do that. Now, and you called it supply and demand, you are seeing more farmers markets popping up in locations that used to be, and I'll call the names, a Kroger and an Ingles and a Safeway and a Piggly Wiggly. You are finding farmers markets now finding their rooftops in places where big box grocery stores were. And I highly advocate for people to start venturing into those stores. Now, yes, you're going to find a lot of the cultural aisles of foods, Jamaican and Asian and Indian and all of that. But what's amazing is the produce section, because I go in there, and my daughter and I were talking about this not too long ago, and she was like, just take a picture of it and then go Google it. And I was like, I don't have time for all of that. And I'll come back to that because I'm making time for that. Okay. I'm still one who says, you have to show it to me. You have to show me what this is, how to create, how to fix it so that I can consume it. And even down to, if it's to be eaten raw, wash it, cut it out. I found out a year ago about shaved Brussels sprouts on my salad. I was like, oh my God. And I finally, after, I'm not going to tell you how many decades, I hated Brussels sprouts. I did. It's like, don't bring them near me. Today, one of my favorites.
Yes.
And a few years ago, when somebody said something about quinoa, I was like, what is quinoa? But so I say that to say, don't be afraid of learning these new things, because we have to learn how to do this again. We did. Um, and we did in I'll call them our home countries. While the US is my home country now, I grew up on, honestly, slave menu. What my grandparents and great grandparents and generations before learned how to cook and passed on was a product of not their home country, but the country that they were starting to reacclimate to. And I think that for all of us, we've done that. And I'll just take it down to the quick, because the standard American diet is the thing that we were brought to, that we were supposed to believe was the savior in food management and our household food management. Do it this way and you're good. And doing it that way was definitely what got us in trouble, along with big foods doing what they knew to do, or what they contrived to do to addict us even further to the wrong scale of foods and the wrong foods. And, this isn't about making things right or wrong. Those are words that are used to describe the different categories. But, and I brought up a couple of things here, and I want to bring in bioindividuality, because still, what might be good for me may not be right for you. What might be really cool for you may not be right for me. We have to take the responsibility on ourselves to find those right foods for us.
Mhm.
And the big box foods with all the processed, and you just read the ingredients. They got us to start liking reading the nutrition facts. And
Yes.
the nutrition facts didn't tell the whole story,
Mhm.
because the nutrition facts didn't include the acetate and all of the other ingredients that create processed foods to be just as harmful almost as meats.
Yes.
And so, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, for our families. And I like how you brought out the fact that we're asking doctors the
Yes.
questions now that have them thinking about, well, I don't know the answer to that. And for a long time, they were able to kind of step back onto the podium of or stage of, they didn't teach us that in medical school, so I don't have that to give to you. That's no longer acceptable.
No.
And so taking responsibility for our lives and
Yes.
not giving it to the foods, not giving it to the medical professionals who have really no information themselves about the nutrition side. I mean, we're human beings and
Yes.
we have a certain makeup. How could you not think that nutrition plays such a huge part of who we are? And how could we have allowed the medical profession to migrate into this space of sick care
Sick care.
versus well care?
Well care.
And, people used to joke about the little country doctor that sent you home and told you to get your grandmother's recipe for some, whatever soup, or, vegetable soup or whatever. It's like that was really where the medicine was. And
It still
so we're
is.
moving into this time now where it's really key that we start paying attention to loving ourselves enough
Yes,
to take responsibility for ourselves.
that is
And I
correct.
want to pose this question to you. What do you believe the connection is between food and love? And there are a number of ways to drop into that, but I'm curious to hear your take.
Okay, the connection between food and love. A lot of us think that a lot of people, I'm not going to even say a lot of people, I'm going to stay right there with food and love. Okay, I'm going to use Dr. Bradley's as an example. A lot of us, when it comes to food, as I mentioned before, food is everywhere. I used to love Sundays because that was the day growing up. That was the day when I knew that my entire family, and I consider myself coming from a big family. I had one sister and four brothers, and my mom and dad. And on Sundays was the day that we ate together as a family. We waited on daddy to come and sit at the head of the table. But that was also a time for us to sit there and just enjoy one another. So of course I equated that with, food and love. Here we are, we at the table, we're together as a family. This is heaven, right? This is just heaven. And so again, when it comes to that, like I mentioned before, VLYNN, is that I continued to eat the way because it represented love. I continued to eat that way because that is what I was taught. That is what I was shown. And I wanted to always have that feeling because it felt so good. But also with that came some trouble, right? Because the food was no longer being created the way that it used to be. Animals were allowed to eat from the farmland. They weren't forced to eat food that it did not want. Animals know what to eat. It wasn't forced. And then came the medication, or the drugs, I should say, for these animals to figure that out. But with that being said, I still held on to that love part of it. And we love food. Like I mentioned before, whenever there is a function, we have food. Food makes us feel good. We use it, food, but guess what? Sometimes we kind of abuse it as well because we're looking for love in the wrong places or in some of the wrong foods, if I could use it that way. I was sitting there constantly still eating this food. Now, and I would tell you, I'm very transparent. I know, Lynn, that you mentioned going in the store, in the produce section and seeing those vegetables and fruit and saying, what am I going to do with this eggplant? It's pretty, but I don't know what to do with it. I should put it back. I was that way too, because I didn't know any better. I just thought, hey, I'm gonna go get a couple of things. You're only supposed to have lettuce, tomato, and onion, and some greens and some squash and stuff and potatoes. That's all. I don't know what that other stuff, why they putting all this other produce out there. But it was there for a reason because, like you said, we've gotten away from that because of the processed food. We want it now. We don't want to wait. We don't even want to wait for it to grow. And that even come with our animals. Do you know how long it takes a chicken or an egg to even hatch? Or these chickens to become, as they call, grown chicken? It doesn't take long. And when you mess with Mother Nature like that, we got a problem. That is a problem. You're asking for it. That's all. And guess what? Not only are you asking for it, but many people, including myself, got it. I got the high blood pressure. I got the cholesterol. But again, back to your question about love, food and love. Food can be a beautiful love affair. We can have a beautiful, beautiful love affair with food. When I think of food and when I think of love, I think of my family. I think of my children. I think of my grandbaby. I think about the fact that I get another chance. I get another chance to parent, and knowing what I know now, she will never experience the pain that food can cause until it's her choice. Now, if she decides to choose that, but I am going to love her and give her what I call love food. Food is that's going to love her back. And that is the relationship that I have with food now. So give me an eggplant. Give me some of your Brussels sprouts, please. Give me some of that. But here's the thing, another thing for people to say also, and I'm kind of diverting here, and that is, they may say, I don't eat vegetables. I don't eat this. I don't think I could ever eat that. The reason why I call it the 21-day vegan challenge is because it takes 21 days to break that habit. And what happens when you start breaking that habit? Your palate changes, right? It really does change. And you might wake up and you might crave a carrot. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought I wanted some bacon and eggs and some biscuit or something. No, that's what I mean. When you give your body what it needs, it will show up and it will show out for you. That's another part of that love affair. Now, for those of you all that heard VLYNN mention bio individuality, then let me just shed a little bit light on exactly what she is saying, just to touch bases on that. You all hear me talking about what worked for me, which was a plant-based lifestyle. I tried any and everything. I really did. I could have became a spokesperson for a lot of it out there that's out there. But when I found out what works for me, I embraced that lifestyle. So when it comes to bio individuality, what that really means is what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me, and it is okay. I enjoy meeting people where they are. So some of you might even say, oh, I would love to go plant-based, but because I'm dealing with this thyroid, or because I have this leaky gut, or because, I can't eat raw food, or whatever. What I mean about meeting you where you are is I'm able to share with you some of the foods that you can eat, or a way that you can eat it. At the end of the day, it is all about you and what's going to work for you, but you should also give it a try. I want you all to take a look at some of these, the different diets that are on the market. We have paleo, we have keto, we have all these other diets, but there's a common denominator with these new diets that are out there. And guess what it is? Plants. Take a look at them. They all talk about crowd your plate with these vegetables and fruit and things like that. Why? I want you to start questioning it. Start looking at these other diets. Why are they expressing the vegetables and fruit? There's a reason for that. Okay. So, but again, bio individuality is again, what works for you may not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you. And it is going to be okay as long as you find out what works for you. Now, if you are still dealing with a preventable disease or chronic diseases that I know that food is causing it, you might want to look even harder at some of those foods that you don't want to give up. You don't want to give up. So that's what I want to say. There really is a connection. And I say have a positive connection when it comes to food and love. Figure out that food that really worked for you, the food that's going to love you back. Don't never get in a relationship where you're the only one loving. So if you get in a relationship with food and you're loving that food and you still dealing with your hair still falling out, you still gaining weight, that food might not be loving you. That food might not be loving you. And we need to stop forcing it. Don't force it. Stop forcing the relationships, especially when it comes to food. Stop all that. This is 2021.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That was awesome. And I love that. Eat the food that loves you back.
Love you back.
You will
That
know.
Brussels sprouts is in love with you. I know
I
that.
know. Yes. I
So may I
love
ask
them.
you a question? Because I don't want us to run out of time. I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
So my question to you, VLYNN, is we met several years ago. We met in Atlanta, and we were at a function. I had never met you before. I've never even seen you in life before. And my daughter was with me at that time. And I remember I had a vendor's table and everything. And VLYNN, you did walk up like you was one of my long lost cousins that have been looking for me for a number of years. Even the way you hugged me, I was like, oh, okay. So my daughter looked at me, and when you walked away from the table, my daughter, she said, Mom, do you know her? I said, I've never seen her in my life. She's like, oh, I think that you and her are going to be friends. I said, I know, we got that chemistry. I mean, it was just like, wow, where have you been? So I said all that to say, whenever you have asked me, hey, can you come on and talk about this and that and this and that? I've always just been amazed. And so last year, 2020, you told me about this platform that we're on right now, and I could not be, happier and excited. So when you told me that you having your own show, I'm like, wow, I'm still special because she asked me that you wanted me to be one of your first guests. But what I want to know is, Lynn, can you explain just a little bit how all this came to be, and why you yourself, you are very passionate about health and wellness and wealth and all of that. So I think that that's a good question to ask you. Let me turn this interview around.
You sure did do that. And I want to say thank you because I am very passionate about this subject of health, wisdom, and wealth. And one of the things that I have had in my lifetime has been the relationship with food that I did not understand. When I was a teenager, I was an obese teenager. The result of competing with my brother, how many hamburgers we could eat, I could eat and match him. But the difference was we got up from the kitchen table after dinner and he got to go out and get a couple hours more play in, right? Running, riding his bike and, just hanging out with his guys. I had to stay home, clean up the kitchen, put the dishes away and, put the food away. And it was a different kind of exercising. It was a different kind of energy expending. And the pounds creeped on. And I looked up one day and I'm not quite sure what happened, but I got sick. And I was in the bed, I kid you not, for 3 weeks. And I still to this day had not had anyone that has been able to tell me what it was, whether it was a virus or some bacteria that just knocked me out. And I did not eat for 2 weeks. The last week, I remember, and this is me remembering that either my mom said to my brother, take your sister this bowl of soup, or one of my little sisters was bringing it to me. But the day that I woke up was the day before school. And I went back to school because this was right in the middle of the school year. And I know the doctors came. My mom had a couple of doctors come, or the doctor come a couple of times, but I don't remember any medication or anything. Just knowing that whatever this was took its course, and with it, it took a lot of that obese weight. I got to school and people were stopping me in the hallway saying, Lynn, is that you? Oh my gosh, is that you? You look so different. I didn't even realize it, Brenda.
Wow.
But that also was the beginning of some other issues because I had lost all of that weight. I was back to the physical being that I knew that I wanted to be and wanted to remain. What I didn't realize was that I had to figure out how to do that, and there was no help for me doing that. So I became anorexic and a borderline bulimic. And I would not eat because I didn't like throwing up. And so I would eat a bag of Doritos. That would be my meal for 2 days. I would eat and didn't really know about fruits and vegetables. My mom would be like, come eat dinner. No, I'm not hungry. And I know that that is what a lot of people have experienced throughout their lives. I remember even after having 2 kids, looking in the mirror, knowing that I could feel myself and I felt like I had wore the clothes that gave me an inkling that I was a good size. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw this, 3 times bigger person. And that still happens to me even sometimes today, where whatever it is that clicked on into anorexia and the the connection with what it is that I see when I'm looking at me. And what has really helped me is to find this new way of eating and living that I can honestly say has helped me to reclaim my physical self the right way. And I had a 20-year, professional fitness career. I was strong. I was a runner. I was a kickboxer. I was a cyclist. I rode century bike rides. That's 100-mile bike rides in a
Yes.
day.
Wow.
That's, I was an athlete, and I saw myself as an athlete. Um, but I'll have to also admit that about 3 years ago, I started finding my way back to the questions. Who am I? I'd lost my son. I was trying to regroup. I was, taking care of the family, and um, the questions about, okay, who are you? What are you going to do now? Started me on a path that I did not see coming, because I was cooking all that stuff. I was,
Yeah.
spaghetti and meatballs and chicken and steak
Mm.
and pork chops and lamb, I was, and then it was me having health issues. And as the universe would have it, I got connected to Peter, who was a client at the time, saying, I want to do this and I want to share this. And we did a program called Just One Thing for Health,
Yes.
which was interviewing amazing people like you and medical doctors and other health psychologists who really, that was part of my intensive education about food and using food as medicine. And I regained my inner athlete. I found my inner athlete. I found my inner me. I found myself seeing the real me in the mirror. And I've done interviews. I've interviewed 500 people over the course of my business career.
Mm.
And coming back into this space, I had a TV show a few years ago, the Biz Info Zone show. And I
Okay.
had said, I want to get back into that venue, but the thing wasn't there. I'm still passionate about business. The healthpreneurs is something that is like me at this point. I want to help more healthpreneurs to have a bigger voice, get their message out to a wider audience, and bring in the ability to help more people. So scaling it up, those are all of the things that I'm bringing into what I do. But one of the big things too, because I found myself early on really wavering. It was, I didn't have the strength and conviction to, well, because part of it was I didn't have enough information, but to keep that journey going. I knew, because I worked out, I love salads, but my chicken wings, it was me, chicken
Yeah.
wings and a salad. I was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I recall those days.
And then it was the fish. I mean, so, it is a journey. And I encourage everyone out there, and again, my audience, my true audience is healthpreneurs, people who are in the space of, health nutrition coaches, um, integrative medicine physicians, and other practitioners, acupuncturists, chiropractors, who are in this space of knowing that there is an alternative solution than pills. I've never been a pill taker.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been one to do well taking pills. I get sick taking pills that are
Yeah.
supposed to make you feel better. Me and aspirin every once in a while, and I'm good to go. I have some supplements that I take and the food that I eat, and I'm looking at, let's go.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but back to your question and to kind of wrap things up, I'm looking at the time.
Okay.
Um, this platform was very important to me because there's so many people who were struggling like me that need to find these healthpreneurs, these health practitioners who want to help.
Yes,
That's what this is all about. That's what my passion is. And this area is so important because food is our lives.
it is. It is.
And I so appreciate you for asking that question. I didn't realize it was going to be that in depth of an answer. Talk
It's
about we can
okay.
talk.
It's okay.
We can talk. Well, I do have a question that I'd love to, wrap things up with. And
Sure.
that is there some wisdom that you believe is important to share? And, in closing out our time together, that's going to have a positive impact on someone in our audience. You've shared some amazing things, but
Thank you.
can you just
Sure.
wrap up the last little bit of wisdom for us?
Yes, I'll wrap it up by, and thank you. Thank you for, I mean, I can listen to you. I can listen all day. You know, you and I will be talking more and more and more and more and more. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm not going to apologize for putting you on the spot.
Okay. I
So,
can work with that.
uh, okay. Okay. So a little wisdom. So I start by asking a question. And that question is, who are you? Really? Who are you? Do you really know? Do you really know who you are? For years, I thought I knew. I thought I knew who I was until I ran into some issues. And then I started questioning. So those issues was when I got sick and I gained the weight and all of this. Even when I was sick and I gained this weight and I wanted so badly to change, even when I knew about this plant-based lifestyle, I still was sitting there and guess what I was doing? Knowing that it was my body was being healed, I still questioned. My questions were, what are my friends going to say? Will they invite me to those backyard barbecue, even if we ever get a chance to go, right? Well, I thought that I wouldn't have any friends. I was saying those things. And so there was a disconnect. And then when I said, you know what? Where are the friends when I had the high blood pressure and all that? Nobody, came. And it's not that they didn't want to come. I'm not saying that. But I had to take a step back and I had to get off of that roller coaster and I had to do what was best for Brenda, what was best for that inner child, that little girl that lives still inside of me, that is really, really full of life. So I had to take off the coat of society and I had to put it to the side and I had to make the decision on what was best for me. And if that meant that I was going to have this plant-based lifestyle, so guess what? I said, I am. So for those of you all that are out there, my question again is, who are you? Are you someone that, hey, that is going to just accept? Are you going to accept whatever condition your health condition is? Are you going to put in the work? Are you going to get back to health? Are you going to ask those questions? You're going to do your research because I do not believe that none of us came here or even was sent here to suffer. No, especially if you are a child of the King. Suffering? No. Oftentimes that suffering is that knock on the door. It's trying to wake you up, trying to ring that doorbell saying that, hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to remember. It's time to understand who you are. And one way to approach it, one way to start is to start by allowing food to work for you and against you. We all need food, and we need to continuously allow food to be our medicine. And I'm talking real food. I'm not talking processed and all that stuff. I'm talking about food from the garden. Allow this food to be your medicine and not your poison. And I will put my neck out there and guarantee that you will feel better. And you may even become whole again. And when you do, watch out because you're coming forth as pure gold. So that is my message, and I love you all. And if anybody want to reach out to me, can I tell them, Lynn, how to reach me?
Absolutely. Yes, I was just going to ask you.
If you want to contact me, please do. You can go to my website. My website is www, no, World Wide Web, we know that, right? drbtbradley.com, the initials DRBT, spell out my last name, BRADLEY.com. You can go onto the website, hit the contact tab, and you'll be able to reach me. I will receive that email from you. Or you can reach me, send me an email. Use my first name, Brenda, at drbtbradley.com. Yeah, Lynn has it right there. There's the website. You can reach me that way. And so I definitely would love to, any questions you all may have for me, anything, you will find out that I am the person that will personally answer. My staff, do I have a staff? Somebody will answer you. But seriously, I would love to hear from you regardless of what that question may be. We're just here to help.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome. And I want our audience to know as well, if you are a health practitioner and you are out there looking for an opportunity to collaborate, to reach more people, I want to tell you about a group that is available to you. It's a Facebook group, and you can email me, Lynn at p3academy.com, and I will connect you, give you some information about how you can find out more about that if you're interested in being interviewed. I would love to interview you on the show. What we're all about is helping people to learn more about how to live their optimal lives.
Yes.
And if you're out there and you love what you heard today, share the love, share the replay with a friend. The replay will be posted shortly. And mark your calendar for Tuesdays, 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time, and join us here. We're going to have live conversations. We're going to have some pre-recorded conversations. We're going to be having panel discussions. We're going to have powerful conversations so that you can live your best life. I'm VLYNN HAWKINS, and I'm the CEO of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship and the P3 Academy of Business Design and Development, helping healthpreneurs to get more visibility so that they can help you become your best self. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Have a great day.
Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Have an amazing day and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We will see you soon.
Take care.